Hello, Misfits. This is Kate.
And this is Kevin.
Welcome to Horrorwood.
Horrorwood.
Horrorwood. Bobby Fuller Part 2.
Part 2.
We're here. We're back. We're here for Part 2. Before we get into the episode, let's get the bad news out of the way.
Okay.
The Bears lost.
I did see that.
And also, we were not nominated for an Ambie.
Damn, double damn.
But that's okay.
Oh, well. Next time.
The Bears, that was a really good game. And sucked that they lost it in overtime.
Oh, no.
Horrible.
I heard people yelling about it at chorus rehearsal.
Yeah, people were upset.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that they lost. I think it was like the overtime was happening as we were finishing up.
Yeah, it was a wild game. And I was trying to have a segue with wild, but didn't happen. So let's just say we're looking for our next Misfit Monday topic. We're not looking for it, but we've got it. We're looking for the stories that come with it. We want to hear your stories about creepy encounters you and a friend experienced. Like if you were over at your friend's house and someone came to the door and shit went awry, or a sleepover that maybe led to some scary or creepy things. Tell us about them.
Can I tell you one?
Obviously.
So I was just thinking about this when you said that topic. In high school, my friend Rana and Jake, we would go out driving through the countryside because, listen, it was rural West Virginia. Like, what else was there to do?
Yeah.
And we were all into, like, creepy occult stuff. So we would, like, just go out in search of, like, weird abandoned places and stuff. And we found this, like, old church that was on top of a hill. So we, like, drove up to it. No lights in there, completely dark, no signs.
Creepy.
Terrifying. And we were kind of walking up to it, but then there was like something inside like creaked or cracked or made this crazy noise. And we all ran to my car and jumped in and sped on out of there.
I thought there was going to be a lot more to that.
No, it's a very subtle story.
I see. It's quick and to the point.
Yeah, we approached the church and it said, "Get out of here."
And you did.
And we did.
All right. Well, if you're writing a story to us, maybe expand on it a little bit more. And our topic last week was, just to recap, if someone you loved passed away and then you felt something afterwards, like their presence or what have you, you probably remember the topic, because if you're here, I'm assuming you listened to part 1 already. So yeah, those are a couple topics for you guys right now. Send them to horrorwoodpodcast@gmail.com, and we look forward to reading them.
Yay.
Alrighty. We left off in part 1 with Bobby and his bandmates, which were Randy, his brother, Jim Reese, and Dalton Powell.
Right.
Just coming off that tour, they had broken their contract in San Francisco because that turnout was so bad at that club. And they had taken a few days off in LA for a little R&R. They had a big meeting and recording session with their manager, Bob Keane, on Monday, July 18th, 1966. And if you remember, Bobby never showed up for that, which was highly unusual.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say I wish I had several more weeks to work on this, because even just last night, I was finding new interviews and like little bits of information that I hadn't come across before. This could easily be a 4-parter.
Whoa.
It's not. It's 2. This is the final one.
Okay.
But I do wish I had more time to go into other details, especially when it comes to the theories. Obviously, I can't fit everything in here, so I've tried to boil it down for you because it could easily go in several different directions. I'm trying to keep it concise just to give you like the full story. Yeah. So those who know this case well might be like, but you didn't mention this and you didn't talk about that person. It's because I didn't feel that it was like vital for this story that I'm telling you, if that makes sense. So after the band called it a day at the studio, since it was clear Bobby wasn't going to show, Jim drove Rick Stone. If you remember, he was the band's road manager and supposedly a longtime friend of Bobby's, though that's been disputed, to a body shop where Rick's car was being worked on.
Okay.
Just a little thing about Rick. I go into him more later, but things I had read said, oh, he was a longtime friend of Bobby's. They knew each other from El Paso. Yes, kind of.
Uh-huh.
Bobby had worked with Rick's mom. They had written some music together.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of gives me the feeling that Rick was like the tag along.
Got
oh, I'll help your son out. Yeah, he can come on the road with us. I don't know if that was the case, but the more I read into this and interviews with the bandmates and stuff, it sounds like Rick was sort of Bobby's like gopher, like go get him coffee, go get him this, and just kind of wanted to be a part of it.
Sure.
So that's just a little thing that I learned about Rick. Jim and Dalton, who shared an apartment, they then went back to their place while Randy went to his friend Boyd Elder's art studio. Randy and Boyd had been hanging out that weekend, and Randy had stayed at Boyd's place Sunday night before the meeting Monday morning. So he just went back to hang with Boyd because that's, where his stuff was.
Sure.
He'd already been hanging there. It's a little weird to me that none of them went by Bobby's apartment to see if he was there.
Yeah, you'd think that they would be alarmed and go check on him.
Right, just to be like, is he sick? What's going on? Has his mom heard anything? Maybe they just thought, okay, well, if Bobby didn't show up today, he must have his reasons because he had been fighting with Bob Keane. He was upset with the way things were going. And so I could see them being like, well, maybe he just didn't want to have to deal with Keane and maybe he's just like off somewhere.
Totally. He just kind of dropped it for a minute.
Yeah. It's also possible that they had driven past Bobby's apartment, didn't see his car, and assumed, oh, I guess he's out. Because Jim and Dalton's apartment was basically just down the street from Bobby's, and Bobby's car was not in the parking lot. The car was his mom's Oldsmobile. If you remember, it was kind of like the family car that he was using. So it's very possible that they did go by and then were like, oh, well, he's not here. And so they just went on. I could see that. And in fact, just a little later, maybe it was like 4:30 or 4:45 p.m., Jim drove to the store and drove right past that lot next to Bobby's apartment, and his car wasn't there still.
Okay.
The apartment was, and still is, at 1776 North Sycamore Avenue in Los Angeles. For people familiar with that area, it's Sycamore and Franklin, about a block south of the Magic Castle. It's like right there.
Have you been to the Magic Castle?
Yes, I thought we talked about
Did we
this.
talk about it?
I feel like we have.
Okay, just I'll dig in my memories.
I did an episode on it. It was before your time here.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's cool.
Yay!
Yay!
I really want to go to the Magic Lounge here in Chicago.
Wait, you haven't been yet?
No, I haven't been.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now, present day, there's another building next to that apartment. But in 1966, that other building wasn't there. It was just a vacant lot. And this is where people would often park when going to the apartment.
Okay, I see.
Just before 5 p.m., a couple of Bobby's friends from El Paso, Ty Grimes and Mike Ciccarelli, drove over to Bobby's place. Bobby had hung out with them the day before, like over the weekend, and he had told them like, hey, why don't you guys come over tomorrow later in the afternoon? So when Ty and Mike pulled into the lot, they didn't see Bobby's car anywhere. So that's important to know.
Okay.
And they were like, well, that's weird. He was definitely expecting us. But they thought, well, let's just go up and ring the doorbell. Surely someone's home.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a reminder, Bobby lived in the apartment with his brother Randy and his mom Lorraine, because Lorraine had gone out with them to California.
Right. I remember that.
Rick Stone was also staying with them at the time.
It's a lot of people in an apartment.
A lot of people. They're rock and rollers. It's a lot of partying. And I think, and Lorraine seemed cool with it. Like she loved nothing more than getting up every morning and making those boys breakfast and like making sure that they were good.
Good.
Randy was at Boyd's, like I said, and Rick was picking up his car from the shop, so that just leaves Lorraine. The apartment was on the 3rd floor. Ty and Mike head up the front stairs, ring the doorbell several times, but no one answered. At the same time, Lorraine was heading down the back stairs to check the mail. She looked in the lot, as she had been doing all day because she hadn't seen or heard from Bobby. And that's when she noticed both Mike's car and her Oldsmobile. Lorraine had not seen the Oldsmobile in the lot prior to that. And remember, when Ty and Mike arrived, they didn't see that Oldsmobile.
It at all, yeah.
And they arrived literally a couple minutes because they go up the stairs while Lorraine's going down the back stairs. So Lorraine had been a basket case all day because the last she'd seen Bobby was the previous evening around 1 a.m. She spoke to him right before she went to bed, and then later, like maybe an hour or so, she heard him leave the house, which wasn't unusual. They were night owls, and she assumed he just went out to get some food or something. So when she saw that he had not returned by the following morning, she was beside herself.
Yeah, not good.
Just to recap, in part one, when Jack was killed, she had those visions, like she just knew something was wrong, and then she kind of spiraled after that.
Oh, I forgot about the visions.
Yeah, so she's a basket case. She's already lost Jack, not to mention Lawson's son, Donnell, who died in that car accident.
Yeah.
The family's been through it.
Especially her, and then having to move all the time with that husband and...
that husband. I think they did have a very loving relationship.
I don't know.
You're like, just let him go. You live your life, honey.
That's what I said last time. I'll say it again.
All right. So because of what she'd already been through with Jack, you can imagine what's going through her mind when Bobby isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So when she went to get the mail and saw the Oldsmobile parked in the lot, she ran over to it. She opens the driver's door and was immediately hit with the overwhelming smell of gasoline.
Oh.
Bobby was slumped over in the seat. His legs were on the passenger side as though he'd been sitting in the passenger seat, and he was lying across with his head on the driver's seat.
Okay, yeah.
The way he was positioned, Lorraine thought he looked like he was asleep, like he had just decided to take a nap in his car. So she starts calling his name, Bobby, Bobby, trying to wake him up. But when she looked at him closer, she knew that he was dead.
God damn.
And for her to be the one to discover him, this poor woman, I cannot even fathom.
That's heartbreaking.
So she screams, turns, runs, and heads back up the stairs to call the police. At the same time, Ty and Mike were heading towards their car because they had been upstairs ringing the doorbell, no answer. So they actually passed her in the lot. And they could tell by her face that something was very wrong.
Yeah.
And that's when they saw Bobby in his car. Because she had just left the door open and ran. So they just see this scene. After she called the police, Lorraine called Randy at Boyd's art studio. Randy answers the phone, hello. And she was in such a state that all she managed to say was, Bobby's dead. And then she hung up. So Randy is just like, what? So he hurries to the apartment, and by the time he got there, cops were already swarming the place, and a crowd of people had gathered. Someone in the crowd grabbed Randy and said, your road manager's been murdered. So then Randy was like, oh, it's Rick, it's not Bobby. And he was relieved. Not relieved that Rick had been killed, but that his brother was alive.
Right.
So he starts up the stairs, and at that moment, Rick comes out of the apartment. And that's when Bobby was like, that's when Randy was like, fuck. So it was Bobby. The mind fuck that must have been. And again, Randy already lost one brother with Jack, who he'd also been really close to. Bobby's body was already in a state of rigor mortis when police arrived, and the cops estimated he'd been dead at least 12 hours.
Wow.
That's disputed. It's disputed how long he was in the car. We actually don't really know, but he was in a state of rigor mortis.
Okay.
According to Lorraine, Ty, Mike, Jim, Reese, that Oldsmobile wasn't in that lot during the day. It wasn't there when Ty and Mike arrived around 5 p.m., but it was there when Lorraine went to check the mail. So that's maybe 5 minutes.
That's so wild to me that all of a sudden it
just
not
appears.
there and it just appears within 5 minutes.
And he is alone in the car, slumped over in rigor mortis.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. So how did the car get there?
Yeah.
With an already deceased Bobby inside of it. And by who? Like, who's driving that car? So that's one of the unanswered questions about this case that has baffled people for decades. As for that gasoline smell, she opens the door and like, what? It's just a smell of gasoline. Inside the vehicle was a gas can that was still about a third of the way full. Some reports say the can was on the floorboard of the passenger side. Some say it was in the back seat. That's one thing about this case. There are conflicting reports regarding the details. And I don't know if it's because of people misremembering or if it's a situation where someone is just repeating what was told to them by someone else.
Sure.
In Bobby's hand was a hose or like a siphon tube connected to the gas can. And Bobby's body was covered in gasoline.
Oh my God.
His hair, his clothes. He was doused in gasoline.
Uh-huh.
Witnesses, including Ty, Mike, Randy, and Lorraine, all said that Bobby looked like he'd been beaten up. He had scrapes on his face and elbow and dried blood on his shirt. There was blood on his face. There was blood on the car seat. Like,
ugh.
It was a pretty grisly scene.
Gruesome.
Rick Stone also noted that one of Bobby's fingers was bent backwards and looked broken, and that he was wearing slippers, and the toes of the slippers were all dirty and torn up as though he'd been dragged.
Oh, no.
A thing about Rick Stone, it seems like he enjoys inserting himself into the story. I don't think there was any foul play on his part. Like, I don't think he was involved in this.
Okay.
I'll say that right now. But he does like to talk about it, and he's often quoted in interviews and news articles and things about this case.
Well, and it's also always like the loudest one that probably has the least to actually say. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's just in every resource. I felt like it said, well, I heard from Rick Stone that Bobby's finger was broken. Rick Stone told me the gas can was on.
Rick Stone is a gossip.
He liked to spill the tea. That is exactly it.
Yeah.
The cops were there before Rick arrived on the scene, so I don't know how much he could even truly see firsthand. Sure. So it's weird. Police asked Lorraine if Bobby had been depressed in recent days. And she said, well, yeah, he's been kind of down, referring to him not being very happy with Bob Keane and the changes that were coming for the band.
Uh-huh.
Well, police took that statement and immediately wrote Bobby's death off as a suicide. I don't know how you write being doused in gasoline off as a suicide. That feels a little strange.
And also, like, he's beat up. Like, that's weird to me.
Well, they have a reason that they come up with for that, which we'll talk about.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the cops were just like, well, this was just another kid trying to make it in LA and he couldn't handle it. So because they had decided that this was a suicide, for literally no reason other than Lorraine answered yes about Bobby feeling down, the police did not conduct a criminal investigation.
Fuckers.
They didn't dust for fingerprints. They didn't take the car into custody to be examined for forensic evidence. They didn't interview anyone at the scene. They didn't even secure the area with police tape or cover Bobby's body as they removed it from the vehicle. That removal of them taking his body out of the car was on the news. Everyone saw it. So there's all these people in the parking lot just watching all of this play out. Really, really poor police work in this case. Like, disgustingly bad. As cops pulled Bobby's body from the car, his bandmate Jim Reese told them, hey, it looks like somebody beat him up. He's got scrapes and abrasions on his arms. But the cops ignored him. They were just like, I don't know. Then one of the officers took the gas can out of the car, poured out the gasoline, and discarded the can.
No, you dipshit.
Jim yelled. He was like, dude, what are you doing?
Stop.
Don't you want to like dust that can for fingerprints or try and figure out like where it came from? Again, they just brushed him off. In an interview he gave years later to Gary James of ClassicBands.com, Jim said, quote, I recall looking through the back window of the car at the back seat and seeing an open book of matches on the back seat and a burned spot on the seat close to the matches, like somebody tried to set fire to the car. I tried to point it out to police, and their attitude was, don't worry about it, kid. We'll handle it. So they're not even trying to figure out what happened here.
Yeah, it seems like they just don't give a shit.
They don't. The next morning, all the papers ran articles that Bobby Fuller was found dead at the age of 23 and that his mother had described him as, quote, despondent in his final days.
Oh.
They didn't come right out and say suicide because an official cause of death hadn't been listed yet, but they definitely implied it.
Yeah.
Poor Lorraine. Not only is she dealing with the loss of another son, but she's being misquoted in papers so the press can have a reason for the narrative that the cops are trying to put forward. Police also told the press that they found no external injuries to Bobby's body, even though several witnesses said he had scrapes and abrasions on him. Which I don't even know. I don't know how you just say, oh no, there were no marks on him. There were no injuries to his body. What? Aside from cops viewing Bobby as just some rock and roller, there was likely another reason they chose not to conduct an investigation, making it an open and shut case. 2 days before Bobby's death, the head of the LAPD, Police Chief William Parker, died unexpectedly of a heart attack while in the middle of giving a speech.
Oh, no.
Well, he was like a fucking racist.
Oh, well then.
So, to this day, he remains the longest serving police chief.
Ooh.
Kind of a terrible human. Super racist, like I said. But nevertheless, the LAPD and entire city government were stunned. On the day of Bobby's death, Parker's body lay in state. So you've got all these officers focused on going to see him on that day. And also on that day, a new acting police chief was sworn in. And they're having to quickly put plans together for the chief's funeral, for Parker's funeral, which was held 2 days after Bobby's death. It was a full military funeral. Hundreds came out for it. There was a miles-long motorcade. So police officers didn't want some big, mysterious case to solve because they had other things on their mind.
Oh, shit.
They just wanted to quickly file it away and not deal with it. The autopsy report, which wasn't released until 3 months later, listed Bobby's cause of death as asphyxia due to inhalation of gasoline. So they're saying he inhaled the gasoline.
Until he died.
Some people believed that he had been drinking the gasoline, but according to the autopsy report, that's not the cause of death. It was inhalation.
Okay.
The report noted that Bobby's bladder was markedly distended, which can mean he was unconscious a long time before dying. So if something happened to him prior and he was just maybe beaten up and he was unconscious and then the gasoline was poured over him, it was the fumes from the gasoline that actually killed him, is what that implies.
Sure.
There was no alcohol detected in his system.
Wow.
Which is very interesting for reasons I'll get into later. His blood was tested for several drugs, barbiturates, Valium, other drugs. None were detected. However, his blood was not tested for LSD, and we'll talk about why that's important in a bit.
Okay.
And remember, Rick said it looked like Bobby's finger was broken, but there were no reports of broken bones.
Oh.
So was it, and they just ignored that?
Weird.
Yeah. Or was it not, and Rick
just
saw something, thought he saw something. Yeah. The coroner did not estimate how long Bobby had been dead, so there's no approximate time of death, which sucks because that could tell you a lot. How long he was in the car, maybe how long he was exposed to the gasoline. I don't know, but there's no time of death listed. He was partially decomposed. He'd been in a car with the windows up while it was 76 degrees outside, which means it could have been up to 96 degrees, close to 100 inside the car. So an El Paso coroner who reviewed the LA coroner's report said the heat, along with the toxic gasoline fumes, could have caused rapid decomposition. And Bobby's skin abrasions were attributed to the gas fumes.
Oh.
Because they can apparently burn the skin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the medical examiner noted, quote, on opening the body, the organs and incised tissue smell strongly of gasoline.
Ugh.
When you think of that smell, first off, the smell of gasoline alone, that much of it, overpowering. And then you add a decomposing body to that.
I don't even want to think about that.
Sorry to just put that in your brain.
No. I saw a clip recently of that show on TLC, My Strangest Addiction.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one where a woman was addicted to sniffing gasoline.
Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad for you.
I know.
Oh, gosh. As for the manner of death, one section listed it as an accident, but in another section, there were question marks next to both accident and suicide. So nothing definitive. No one that knew Bobby believed he was capable of suicide, and nothing about the scene suggests that that's what happened here. So let's talk about how Bobby spent his final hours alive, what we do know. On Sunday, July 17th, Bobby told Rick, I don't know what's going to happen, but you've always got a job with me if you want it. I mentioned this in part 1. And he was saying, like, he doesn't know what's going to happen with the band, but Rick will always be his road manager. He'll keep him employed.
Alrighty.
That evening, Bobby, Rick, and Lorraine were at the apartment. 3 of Bobby's friends came by and had some beers with Bobby. They hung out for a couple of hours. Rick said Bobby drank 5 or 6 beers and was feeling pretty good. And there was no alcohol in his system, which is weird because alcohol, usually it's a false positive that you get in an autopsy report for alcohol because the body produces that. If he'd been drinking a day before he was found, even 2 days before, those results would have shown up in the autopsy report. So it makes me go, okay, well, did the examiner just not list those for whatever reason? Was he told not to list anything? Did he make a mistake? It's baffling.
Could that have been something to do with the gasoline?
Oh, I didn't think about that. I don't know.
Like
maybe it yeah, I don't know. I've never drank gasoline or inhaled it, so I don't know what that does.
I don't either. Well, Kate, let's put that on our list.
No. Let's not. All right. The friends from El Paso, they left the apartment around 11:30 that night. And then Rick said he fell asleep just after midnight. Before Lorraine headed to bed, she said she spoke with Bobby briefly. It was about 1 a.m. She said, quote, he was wide awake. He always stayed up playing his guitar and listening to records. I told him good night, and that was the last time I saw him alive. Later, I heard him leave the apartment, and she thought, like I said, he was just going to go get something to eat. In the book I mentioned in part 1, I Fought the Law, The Life and Strange Death of Bobby Fuller, Rick states that Bobby left the apartment about 1 a.m., telling Rick he was going to Melody's to buy some acid. Put a pin in that.
Melody's acid.
Melody's acid, yes. Bobby returned to his apartment a little while later and then left again at about 2:33 a.m.
Okay.
Rick said he heard Bobby leaving and said, quote, I heard a noise. I got up. I was really hot and thirsty. It was about 2:30 in the morning. I went to the kitchen to get a drink and I noticed that the front door was open. But I didn't think much of it because we were all night owls. We rarely got to bed before dawn. Anyway, I heard the door shut. I knew it was Bobby because Randy was at Boyd Elder's place.
Right.
The last person to claim to see Bobby alive was the apartment building's manager/superintendent,
okay,
Lloyd Essinger. When police arrived at the parking lot on the 18th, Lloyd was down there and told them that he and Bobby had had a few beers in Lloyd's apartment at about 3 a.m. and said Bobby was in good spirits. So he drank with Rick and the friends from El Paso, left around 1 a.m., went somewhere, came back around 2:30, had more beers at Lloyd's place. Okay. And just a side note, after Lloyd made this statement to police, no one ever talked to him again. He couldn't be reached for comment after that. And I tried finding him online to see what became of him. Haven't been able to find anything. It's like he just vanished. There's no trace of him after that statement.
Is he one of the theories?
He might be one of mine.
Okay. Because I could see that. There
are no reports of anyone seeing Bobby after he drank beers at Lloyd's. The next morning, Lorraine woke up Rick panicked, saying Bobby hadn't come home from the night before. Rick went out to look for the blue Oldsmobile, but didn't see it. And then he went on to the recording session thinking Bobby would just show up there, which left Lorraine alone in that apartment with a really bad feeling. She went down to that parking lot several times throughout the day. She walked around the building. She was checking for that car. It was not there. It wasn't there until that small window of time between Ty and Mike showing up and Lorraine going to check the mail. Ty told reporter Edna Gunderson that when he and Mike pulled into the lot that day, quote, "A car pulled in behind us, but I didn't pay attention to it at the time." So that's interesting.
Huh.
Howard Steele, a friend of Bobby's who also played in a band with Mike Ciccarelli, gave an interview that conflicted with what Ty had said, stating that Mike told him he and Ty went up to the apartment looking for Bobby. Lorraine was there and said Lorraine had told them Bobby left with two men who came looking for him in the night. That's the first and only time I've heard that these two men showed up in the night. So again, I don't know if that's Howard misunderstanding or remembering something wrong, He goes on to say that Mike then went back down to the parking lot and, quote, saw the murderers dumping gas in the car. So murderers, he's implying there's more than one person. And that it was Mike who then discovered Bobby's body. So really important information if that's true.
I mean, I'd say so. What?
But I don't know that he's remembering that correctly, or maybe it was hearsay. Maybe Mike, something got misconstrued, like a game of telephone.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating because it's just like, wait, okay, so who did discover him? Who did go to the car for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I also feel like if Mike Ciccarelli had seen, quote, the murderers pouring gas in the car, there would be more reports of that. Like Mike would have gone and talked to somebody, be like, hey, I saw these people. This is what they look like. I saw them do this. But that has never surfaced. So
that's so wild.
I think that's hearsay. I don't put a lot of stock into that.
I'm not really buying it.
Lawson Fuller, Bobby's dad,
Uh-huh.
flew to LA and went to talk to the police chief, saying over and over, this was not a suicide. You need to investigate it. This was a murder. According to Randy, the chief told Lawson, quote, if you know what's good for you, you'll keep your mouth shut.
What the fuck is going on up here on this day or whatever?
What's happening out in these streets? It's bizarre. So there's not a lot of context around that. And again, this is Randy from that book, which he wrote, I want to say it was like 2014 or something. So we're talking decades later.
That's a lot of time for things to sort of fade into obscurity.
Or change, morph into different details. So it's hard to know. 2 private investigators were hired to look further into Bobby's death. One abruptly quit the case. No reason given, just quit.
Up and left.
And the other left town saying he'd been threatened, that he'd run across some people who told him, you'd better watch it or you'll get yourself into a lot of trouble.
Ooh, that's mysterious.
And creepy. Which would be a great topic if you're writing in a misfit tale. Did you run into someone?
Did you have a mysterious or creepy person? Tell us
about it.
Did
a private investigator come talk to you? After Bobby's funeral, Lorraine and Lawson flew back to Texas. On the flight home, Lorraine had to be restrained because she was trying to jump out of the plane.
Oh my God.
This poor woman.
Lorraine, I cannot even imagine losing 3 children.
Oof.
It's
unfathomable.
That's the word I was looking for.
I could tell. That's why I was like, I heard the part of it coming. I was like, it's unfathomable. There it is. Yeah, I don't know how you get through your day. She struggled a lot.
Did she have a daughter as well?
No.
Lawson had the daughter. Okay.
Yeah. Back in Texas, Lorraine had to go through more shock treatments, which happened also after Jack died. And she was practically at death's door. Yeah. Like, people said that she was just kind of a zombie after that.
I mean, that's what it does to you.
Yeah. She couldn't handle it. She was in the hospital a long time. Now, I looked her up, and it looks like she passed away in 1989. So she did live for several years after Bobby's death, but it sounds like she
was
wasn't
never the
well.
same.
Yeah. Rick Stone also went back to El Paso because, I mean, that's where he was from. Obviously, everyone in the band dispersed after this. While Lorraine was in the hospital, Rick had the audacity to ask her if he could have some of Bobby's things. There were a couple of things she agreed to, but keep in mind her state of mind at this point. He basically raided Bobby's old room and took everything he could get his hands on and then turned around and sold it for thousands of dollars.
Ew.
He's a piece of shit.
Fuck that bitch.
I was reading interviews by the bandmates and Dwayne Carrico, who he was really like the main drummer of the band. Dalton Powell was brought in as a replacement because Bobby got in a fight with Dwayne. And Dwayne said Rick was just like a hanger-on. He was a piece of shit. He was not to be trusted. He had nothing nice to say about Rick. So yeah, as I was reading more into it, I was like, what's up with this Rick guy? Like, I don't think he did anything to Bobby, but he certainly was not a friend of Bobby's, because you don't do that to a friend. No. You don't go and then steal all their stuff after they pass and like basically lie to their grieving mother and then sell it for thousands of dollars and pocket that. Randy had the unfortunate task of driving the Oldsmobile back to El Paso. Randy was like, I don't even know why they wanted that car, because they do end up selling it like immediately after. They were like, we got to get rid of this. But yeah, Randy had to drive that back.
Yikes. Oh, just junk it.
Yeah, I could not.
Yeah. I need to adjust myself.
Oh, please do.
I feel like I've been leaning back like this.
Oh, because you're trying not to hit the thing.
I know. I'm just like, and my back was like, No.
So Kevin has a bit of a cold right now. And
sorry, people.
He's wearing a face mask. And so he's trying to not touch the microphone with the mask. Poor Kevin. Send him some love.
Help me.
He's unwell, but he's a trooper.
We're listening to stories. We're telling stories.
He's here. He's pulling through. So Randy had to get a trailer to haul all of Bobby's stuff back.
Yeah.
Because he's got equipment, clothes, instruments, like everything. So he's got this big trailer hooked up to the back of this Oldsmobile that he's towing behind him. And this was like, on a good day, this is a 12-hour drive.
That's a long drive.
Yeah. His parents didn't want him to have to do it alone. So a couple of their friends, the Pierces, rode with him so he would have some company.
Uh-huh.
It was scorching hot. It was 111 degrees on the drive.
Whoa.
The AC was barely working. I mean, when it's that hot, like, it's not gonna, no matter how far you crank that sucker.
Like in Chicago when we get up to the hundreds.
Have we been up to the hundreds? Well, I guess we have, yeah.
Definitely. Like my little window air conditioner unit is just like, bitch, I'm hot.
Yeah, and this car, like, it wasn't handling the heat well.
No.
So they're all sweating. It's hot. The smell of gasoline is still present in the car, despite them having left the windows down for a while, trying to air it out, and Bobby's blood was still on the car seat.
This is horrific. And how nauseating to have to sit there for 12 hours, smell gasoline, and also be in the spot where your brother died.
I cannot fathom. And like I said, 12 hours was on a good day when you're not hauling a big ass trailer behind you. It took them a lot longer than that because it was not easy to maneuver the vehicle with that trailer. Randy had covered the seats with newspapers so that the Pierces wouldn't have to see Bobby's blood.
Okay, that was nice of him.
They're all dripping sweat. So Randy rolls his window down a bit just to try to let in a little fresh air.
Sure.
And all those now blood-stained papers that have gotten some of the blood from the car on them fly up into the face of Mrs. Pierce.
Oh!
She starts screaming, and right then, a drunk driver came speeding the wrong way down the street right towards them. It's like, give these people a break.
They need a break.
Let the family alone, universe. Like, just everything that you could possibly imagine, and then things you couldn't even think of are happening to them.
It's almost like a video game. Almost, you know what I mean? Like they're just dodging things left.
It's
and
like
right.
what's the game Frogger? Is
Frogger.
that it? Where it's like and you like
you
have to avoid the cars and
yeah.
Not to compare this to a video game, but kind of like they're just. I don't even know how they made this trip.
That's wild.
So as this drunk driver is speeding towards them, Randy had to swerve with that big trailer and the car almost toppled over. They ended up going off the road. And Randy said, quote, "The car was blaring, Mrs. Pierce was still screaming, and the car seemed to fill with the smell of death."
Ugh.
Randy couldn't take it. He got out and walked a little bit of ways from there, and then he just collapsed to his knees and started vomiting. I mean, what else can you do? When he got back to the car, like he pulls himself together. The Pierces are still in the car. So he pulls himself together. He walks back. He said it was so hot that when he touched the metal door handle, it nearly fried his skin. And he was about to break down in tears. And right then, I Fought the Law starts playing on the radio. You cannot write this.
It's too much. You know, thinking back to our previous ask for stories, like a loved one reaching out. Like, do you feel like, obviously, whatever, maybe not, but it just, all of these coincidences all at once feel like they're not just coincidences.
I see where you're going with that song coming out or coming on at that moment. My initial thought was like, oh, that's like Bobby trying to be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But Randy did not see it that way.
Sure.
He was just like, fucking what? Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, with all the shit that's happened one right after the other.
He's like, and now this song? Yeah.
That's the final straw.
Exactly. So let's talk about the theories that have floated around regarding who might be responsible for Bobby's death. Some believe Bob Keane had Bobby killed.
Oh, that smarmy asshole.
He and Bobby did not get along, and Keane knew Bobby wanted out of his contract. According to Randy, Keane didn't really seem to care that Bobby had died. Mere hours after Bobby's funeral, Keane calls up Lawson and says, "Hey, can you come to my office?" If I'm Lawson, I'm thinking, oh, Bobby's manager wants to tell me what my son meant to him. Maybe Bobby left things at the studio he wants me to have. That was not the case.
Nope.
Instead, when Lawson showed up, Keane said, Bobby's got about $16,000 in an account, and that should be mine.
No.
The funeral was that day.
That motherfucker.
And he's like, give me Bobby's money. Keane said that there were some debts of Bobby's that needed to be paid. Well, the family had used that money to pay for the funeral and all the expenses associated with it, as well as, presumably, the private investigators. So that money was gone. And so Lawson told him, sorry, that money isn't there. And Keane said, well, then I'm keeping all of Bobby's equipment and instruments. So if you remember from part 1, Bobby brought all of that from El Paso because Keane's business was failing and his place was being shuttered and he didn't have anything. The only reason Keane allowed Bobby's family to keep his equipment is because Randy threatened to kill him if he didn't. Because Randy, remember, he's a hothead.
Yeah, Randy's just
and he doesn't give a fuck.
Fuck you.
Yeah, he has no fear. So he was just like, all right, well, I've got my gun if you need me to come by. So that's the only way that he was able to get the equipment back.
Yeah.
Bob Keane also allegedly took out a huge life insurance policy on Bobby 1 month before his death.
Oh, God.
To the tune of $800,000 in 1966.
That's a lot of money.
Policies were also taken out on the other bandmates, but for a far lower amount. Despite bandmates stating Keane himself told them they were getting life insurance policies, Keane has stated he knew nothing about these policies and that if they existed, they must have been taken out by his business partner, Larry Nunez. Larry Nunez was one of those investors I mentioned in part 1. I didn't give his name in part 1, but he was one of the investors that Keane brought in to help him bail out his business. Because remember, he's failing.
Yeah.
Nunez also allegedly had ties to organized crime.
The mob.
There's such a gap between there. The mob. The mob was all over the record business. Not to mention, they owned all those nightclubs back then.
Brother.
So another theory is, did the mob kill Bobby? This is still a strong theory to me, although the scene itself isn't very mob-like because it was messy. Like, they left the gas can. The matches were supposedly in the back seat. Like, that doesn't feel like the mob did that. Larry Nunez was doing business with the owner of Roulette Records, Morris Levy. Levy, I think it's Levy. Morris Levy definitely had connections to the mob, allegedly. Reportedly, Bobby made a deal with Levy to sell him his copyrights, but then decided he wanted out of the deal. And he did meet with Levy when they were in New York on tour. There's documented, meetings between them.
Sure.
So there was something going on there. You did not cross Morris Levy.
Ooh.
You didn't back out of a deal with him. You didn't say you wanted to go to a different record label. You didn't complain about not being paid royalties that were owed to you. You did not cross Morris Levy. Singer James Shepard had been complaining to Levy that he wasn't being paid the money he was due, calling him a thief. Shepard was later found murdered. Singer Jimmy Rogers, who was signed with Roulette Records, got an offer from another label and decided to take it because he wasn't being paid fairly by Levy. He later was found with his head bashed in. So the fact that Bobby made a deal with Levy and then backtracked certainly would not have gone over well. But it could have been a different mob connection that got Bobby. One of the main clubs they played was a nightclub called PJ's. They were like, I don't know if they were in residence there, but they played there all the time. PJ's was owned by a group of guys from Chicago with ties to organized crime.
The mob.
Paul Raffles, one of the owners of PJ's, was allegedly dating a woman named Melody or Melanie.
Melody's LSD.
Yes. This is the Melody we're speaking of.
I remembered.
Melody's LSD. Melody and or Melanie, both names are given for her with the same stories attached. So either they're the same woman or somewhere along the way, someone mistook them for the same person because they sounded similar, and those names have been interchangeable since. Supposedly, Melody is someone Larry Nunez brought in to, quote, keep Bobby happy. They had a little fling going on the side. So some theorize that Paul Raffles had Bobby killed because he found out Melody was hooking up with Bobby. She's a mystery because several people bring her up, and the stories about her line up in some ways, but not others. Like, people will say, yeah, she and Bobby had a thing going. She was allegedly a high-priced call girl. But then some will say, well, she was in her early 20s, while others say, oh, she was in her mid-30s.
Okay.
And that's quite a jump.
Way different, yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, is there a Melody and a Melanie? Are they two different women? So that's another thing that's confusing in this case. As I mentioned earlier, Rick Stone, because he's always talking, said that on the night before Bobby was found dead, he told him he was going to Melody's to buy LSD. Bobby was known to have experimented with LSD. It was still legal at that time. Did Paul Raffles see Bobby at Melody's and get angry and decide to follow him that night and kill him? It's plausible. Paul's club, PJ's, also happens to be the club musician Sam Cooke visited the night he was killed. We haven't covered him yet, but we will.
Okay.
Sam Cooke got his start with Bob Keane. It's just crazy how, like, a lot of these things are tied together. Another theory regarding Melody is that she had invited him out to a party that a ton of celebrities were going to be at. There were people she wanted to introduce him to, and at that party, they dropped acid and things went too far. Bobby took too much, ended up dead, or he ended up in a fight with someone at the party and ended up dead. Either way, the partygoers didn't want to take any responsibility, so they tried to make it look like a suicide. So that's a theory.
And you said they didn't find any evidence of LSD in his system.
They didn't test for it.
They didn't test for it. Okay.
That's why that's important.
Oh, okay.
In an episode of Unsolved Mysteries about this case, Randy says in the episode that he remembers Bobby telling him he was going to a party with Melody that night. So the episode runs with this idea that he went to this party.
Okay.
After that episode aired, allegedly Melody, called the show. She said she was never involved with anyone who had ties to the mob and said she was not with Bobby the night he died and had no knowledge of the alleged party.
Okay.
I don't believe the party theory because if he was wearing slippers, which is what was reported, he was not wearing clothes to go out and meet important people and meet celebrities. He was very protective of his image. He cared about what he looked like. So if he was wearing slippers, that tells me he was just going to step out real quick. He was either going to step out and go to Lloyd's, which is in the same building, or just like run an errand or grab food or whatever. He wasn't going out for the night. We don't know if Bobby had LSD in his system, but like I said earlier, it's weird that they didn't find alcohol in his system because he definitely drank that night.
Yeah.
I want to mention a YouTube listener who commented on part 1 that Eddie Nash might have been responsible. Eddie Nash is believed to be the mastermind of the Wonderland murders. We'll cover those eventually. Sam, I think that's your name on YouTube. Eddie Nash, he did own PJs, but not until the 70s. And Bobby was killed in 66, and the Wonderland murders were 81. So that hadn't happened yet. I never found any connection between Nash and Bobby, so I'm just putting that out there because he was not at PJs at that time. All right. I brought up Charles Manson in part 1, and I promised you he was coming back in part 2. Well, here he is.
Okay.
According to Jim Reese's wife, Beth, Manson went to PJ's asking for Bobby. He wanted to see if Bobby would give him guitar lessons.
Huh.
But Bobby wasn't there when he showed up. I don't believe this theory at all.
Okay.
The theory is that this somehow enraged Manson and he killed Bobby or had him killed.
Just because he wasn't there?
Yeah.
I
don't think it's plausible at all because timing-wise, Manson was behind bars and would not have been able to go to PJ's. And he was still in jail at the time of Bobby's death. But it is a theory that's been floated out there. That's why I'm bringing it up, but it holds no water for me.
It's wrong.
The mob! Or was the mob? We don't know. Kenneth Maines. Have you heard that name?
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's a controversial cold case detective. He does these YouTube videos and stuff. He believes Bobby had to have been killed at the apartment building because the stuff with the car not being there and then it appearing in such a short window of time, Bobby's body already being in rigor mortis, he clearly didn't drive that car there himself. So would someone in broad daylight, because it's around 5 p.m., be driving around with a dead body in the car? It seems they would have had to have been nearby and watching to know that no one was in the lot during those couple of minutes before Lorraine discovered the car. Because otherwise, that is some crazy luck that in those couple of minutes, they happened to go unnoticed. Unless Mike did in fact see them, which again, sounds like hearsay.
Yeah.
So was it Lloyd? He was the last person to say he saw him. He lived in the building. He was also a known partier and did a lot of LSD.
Uh-huh.
So could something have happened in his apartment and he tried to cover it up? I don't know. And we never hear from him again, so who's to say? Or could the killer have been the angry father of one of Bobby's old girlfriends? If you remember in part 1, he dated a lot of girls. He was engaged to a lot of girls. He was engaged to other women while impregnating other girls. I said unless there was a deathbed confession, we probably wouldn't ever know who killed Bobby Fuller. Well, turns out I found one. I literally found this last night. So, John Novak is the illegitimate son of Bobby. He was born in March of 1965. His mom, Mary Janelle Cruella, she goes by Janelle, worked at Bobby's Teen Rendezvous in El Paso. Janelle was just 15 at the time and Bobby was 21. They had a little fling. They got pregnant with John. Janelle's dad, Ed Cruella, was furious. Bobby agreed to a financial arrangement with Janelle's family for them to keep quiet about the baby. I think he didn't want to bring shame to his family or hers. He had an image to protect, and maybe the money was also to help pay for expenses. Those are just my thoughts. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to hear from you because it was silent
No,
for
sorry.
a while.
I thought I heard something.
It might be Matt coming back. Janelle gave the baby up for adoption. Bobby went to LA, and the payments to Ed Correa eventually stopped.
Oh.
Ed was going through a lot at the time. His wife was leaving him. Janelle and her sister were both having problems at school and with boys. And according to Janelle, he'd had it. Toward the end of his life, Ed was dying of cancer. Janelle said that a year before her dad died, which John said was January or February of 2010, Ed brought the family together, Janelle, her brother, and sister, and told them he was the one who killed Bobby Fuller. Janelle, her sister, and brother had no reason to believe otherwise. And he could have a motive with those payments stopping, and he's like already kind of spiraling in his personal life. So I could see that. He was still in El Paso, which means he would have had to make the trip to LA, which he could have done.
Could have done, sure. We don't know.
So Janelle tells this to John, when he's an adult. John, Bobby's illegitimate son, who would also be the grandson of Ed. And John was like, hey, if you want to go public with this and let the world know, I can help get you in touch with reporters. So they contacted the LA Times, who took it very seriously. The LA Times went around interviewing several people, and once they felt they had what they needed, enough evidence or enough material, they took it to the LAPD. And the LAPD said, too much time has passed. We're not going to look into that.
Blarf.
So maybe the call Bobby got that night wasn't from Melody, like Rick said, but was from Ed saying he was in town, just wanted to talk, but had run out of gas. Any chance you could bring a gas can? I've been driving all this way.
Oh.
John doesn't know if Ed truly did kill Bobby. There's no real proof other than him saying he did. So who knows? I don't know why you would say that if you didn't do it, but who knows?
People say weird shit all the time for no fucking reason.
And especially if you're on your deathbed, you might not be
cognizant.
Fully, yeah. Randy believes that someone did call Bobby asking him to bring gas because he can't think of any other reason why that would have been in the car. I could see, if it was the mob, I could see them having the gas can and putting it in there. But I could also see Bobby getting a call from someone who needed gas. They'd run out of gas. He just throws on the slippers next to the door, which happened to be his mom's, runs out. He's going to be back really quick, and he doesn't make it back.
Yeah, that sounds plausible to me.
But who knows?
Yeah. Actually.
I'm curious. Well, what do you think happened? Do you have any thoughts?
It's hard. I don't know that I always buy a mob theory.
Yeah. And again, like I said, the scene was messy. So I don't know that was the mob. But he definitely had some dealings with people connected to the mob.
Oh, absolutely did. I think it's telling also that Melody called into Unsolved Mysteries to say, listen, none of that happened. I didn't really even know. I don't really buy anything with her involvement. And also there's so much hearsay from people around what was actually seen and heard. And
exactly.
done.
It's so frustrating.
Why is there so much of that? I don't understand that. So what if it was somebody who was close to Bobby? What if it was one of the bandmates?
Well, John said, for all I know, it could have been one of the band members because they'd been fighting, on that tour and they'd all kind of gotten sick of each other. I don't think it was. I mean, honestly, Bobby was their meal ticket. I don't think that it could have been any of them. In every interview I've read with them, I don't see any hint of that.
Right. Also, the car showing up so quickly and literally within 5 minutes of being seen.
Yeah.
That's really strange to me.
Someone had to have been watching.
Someone knew that no one was going to be outside at that time, and that was the exact moment to put the car in the lot.
Yeah.
Also, where did that person go? Did they just run off, or did they have a car with them?
Exactly.
Waiting for them?
We don't know.
And did they say they saw any cars leaving the lot?
Nope. I know. It's so frustrating. It's one of those mysteries that I could see it going a million different ways. None of it makes sense.
Well, and I also don't like, what's his face? The gossipy asshole.
Rick Stone.
I don't trust that motherfucker.
Yeah, but again, Bobby was his meal ticket. So I think the only way that he would be responsible is if it had been an accident, like something had happened and then he tried to cover it up.
Like they were doing, like the thing about doing drugs and like maybe he died accidentally or...
I mean, Bobby wasn't a huge guy because from what I've gathered from interviews, like they were all on the smaller side. I don't know that a single guy, if it had been a band member or Rick or somebody or even Lloyd, could have moved him alone.
Sure. I genuinely don't know.
I have no freaking clue.
I wish I had a theory, but none of it would add up, really.
And the thing is, like, if it was Ed, if it was this girl's dad, and he was pissed that Bobby had gotten his daughter pregnant and he was going through it in his personal life, it could be something that, like, the one theory that no one reported on or anything is just like, was he pissed? And he was just like, you know what? Fuck that guy. I'm going to get some money. And he went out there and brings up a sob story like, hey, man, I just want to talk to you. And I drove all this way. And do you happen to have any gas? Can you bring some gas or something? Or whatever the case was. It would be kind of wild if that was who did it.
Yeah.
But then again, like, I go back to the freaking car. Like, was he just waiting in the car? Like, where was the car before?
Where was the car?
I don't know. Do any of you know? Do you have any thoughts on this case? If you have any theories or thoughts on this, let us know in the comments on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Spotify at
Horrorwood Podcast.
Or you can send us an email at
horrorwoodpodcast@gmail.com.
And send us your misfit tales there too while you're at it. And you can also subscribe and get the bonus episodes on Apple Podcasts, Patreon, and
YouTube.
There's YouTube. Thank you. I don't remember them all these days. All right. That's it for now. That's a crazy wild case that
bananas
has so many, I want to say tentacles, but I don't think
I think that's a great explanation.
They're just like, it's like a web.
A web of tentacles.
So many animals.
So many things.
Insects involved in that. Alrighty. Well, Kevin's not feeling well. We're going to get him some
I'm going to go home.
R&R. All right. Bye.
Bye.